Hello, it's me. I spent the night in the famous Stanley Hotel, and I brought home some unsettling evidence of the spirits and the other entities who permanently reside there. And I'm going to show you everything I have, from aggressive, angry sounding EVPs captured in my hotel room, to shocking photos of someone's timeless face, to the physical experience that we had while staying at the hotel and exploring the historical property. About an hour northwest of Denver, Estes Park in the Rocky Mountains is home to the Stanley Hotel. The hotel was officially established in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley. Even from the day it opened its doors to the public, the Stanley was considered quite a luxury hotel with working electricity, telephones, indoor plumbing, servants, and Stanley-designed automobiles. Before the establishment of the hotel, though, Freeland Oscar Stanley was diagnosed with tuberculosis and was not given very long to live. But he loved Estes Park and the Stanley Hotel so much that he vowed to spend every summer there for the rest of his life. Stanley and his friends and colleagues made the hotel a very happy, lively summer resort that eventually hosted esteemed guests like Teddy Roosevelt and the Emperor of Japan. Initially, Stanley was only given about 1 year left to live when he was diagnosed with his terminal illness, but he did keep his vow to spend every summer there for the rest of his life at the Stanley Hotel, and he did spend 37 summers there. By the 1970s, however, the liveliness really died down, and the Stanley Hotel was struggling to keep its doors open. But in 1974, that's when author Stephen King spent one night there in room 217. During his stay, King had a nightmare that was so terrible it inspired him to write his famous novel, The Shining. The outstanding success of Stephen King's story brought popularity back to the Stanley Hotel, and today the hotel is thriving as good as ever. Many permanent residents from the afterlife are believed to reside in the Stanley Hotel, not because of death or pain or trauma, but because it's a happy place where many people loved spending their leisure time, and they continue to do so for the rest of eternity. And I believe I've contacted some of them, heard their voices, and saw their faces in my photographs. In 2018, my mother, my grandmother, my aunt, and I booked 2 rooms at the Stanley Hotel for one night. My mom and I stayed in room 224, which is on the same floor as room 217. When we arrived, we unpacked our things and brought out our paranormal investigation equipment, which included my Blue Yeti microphone, the same exact microphone I'm talking to you in right now, my laptop, and our phone cameras. And that's all we needed to prove to ourselves, and maybe to you guys, that the Stanley Hotel is definitely haunted. After unpacking, the first thing we had on our agenda was to take the hotel's official ghost tour. During the tour, we were guided throughout the hotel's lobby, gardens, basement, concert hall, presidential suite, as well as other places around the huge property. During that ghost tour is when I got my 2 incredible ghost photos. Incredible in my opinion, but I'll show you. My first photo was taken in the upper level of the concert hall. This is where esteemed guests would sit and visit to get their best view of the show that was happening on the main level. Stories were told of guests sometimes smelling floral perfume from this space, explained by residual energy from the ladies who enjoyed spending their time up there. And in this room, our tour guide suggested that we take burst photos and use the burst photo tool on our phone cameras in order to create as many opportunities for capturing photographic paranormal evidence, and that's exactly what I did. Although there were several other people in our tour group, I made it a point not to get any other guests in this burst photo, so when I would look back at it later, I could tell who or what I was looking at and not to get any real person confused with something I would perhaps see in my photos. I took many rounds of burst photos, like probably thousands of photos altogether, but I didn't look through them until the next day. But when I did, this is what I captured in the upper level of the concert hall. It's hard to tell what you're looking at, but There's basically just a black mass on the right side of this photo, as if there's this dark apparition just kind of peeking out from the side, almost getting right in front of my camera, but not quite. It's still a little bit off the frame, but the photo right before and right after this in the set of burst photos have nothing in it. So even though I did my best not to get other guests in this photo, it's possible that maybe someone accidentally stepped in front of my camera, even though in real life I do not remember that happening. But even if that was the case, they would most likely appear in more than one burst photo, since these 3 photos right here were all taken within a split second of each other. So what do you think it is? And are you seeing something that I'm not? Let me know. So after I captured that photo, we continued the guided tour down to the basement of the concert hall, nicknamed the Piano Graveyard. In this basement, there stood a tall, creepy mirror. Our tour guide explained that this mirror is thought to be haunted, and she showed us a photo on her phone that she had and explained that at some point there was a young man who snuck into the basement by himself without a tour or a tour guide, and he took a photo of himself standing in front of this mirror. Although he was alone, the photo he took showed several people in the mirror standing behind him. While I was researching for this photo, I could not find the exact photo, but here is the same mirror that I'm talking about, taken by someone else. But after I saw that photo, my whole energy changed, and I didn't feel right for the rest of the night and throughout the next morning until I left the property, basically. So after seeing that photo on the tour guide's phone, I decided to take my own photos of this mirror. And in these photos, I did get the other guests in the frame because it was impossible not to, but I did seem to capture an unfamiliar face and the reflection of the painting hanging on the wall next to the mirror. And here it is. Now, I had gone through my photos several times for the weeks and the months following my stay at the Stanley Hotel, and it took me a very long time, probably months, to even notice what I saw in this photo. So you might not have noticed it either, probably not, but I will zoom in and circle what I saw. So I see a full-blown, defined face of a man, possibly an old man, and I see it clear as day. Do you see what I'm seeing, or do you see something else? Let me know. So those 2 photos were all the photographic evidence that I got from my stay, but those photos are nothing compared to the voice recordings and the EVP that I captured throughout the hotel, and I'm gonna show you all of that next. At around 11 p.m., I left this exact microphone in my hotel room alone for about 45 minutes. I set this microphone and my laptop right in the middle of our bed in our hotel room. We left the room, we put up the do not disturb sign on the door handle, even though it was, again, 11 o'clock p.m. and normally employees don't let themselves in to a room at that time of night. But the recordings we got when we left this microphone in the room by itself are like unbelievably freaky, and I am so glad that I did not listen to them until the next day when I was out of the hotel, because if I would have heard this before going to bed that night, I would have left and slept in the car in the parking lot. But here's what I heard. So before explaining exactly what I heard, I just want to kind of let you visualize what was happening to me the first time I heard this. I was at my uncle's house, in his kitchen, safe, non-haunted place, and I was in my laptop. I had my headphones in, and I was listening very carefully to all the recordings that I acquired during that night staying at the Stanley Hotel. And when I heard that segment that I just showed you, my jaw dropped and my heart started beating, and I made my whole family stop what they were doing, and I was like, you guys, this is crazy. You have to listen to this. To me, it sounds like just this really angry, aggressive man stomping through our room, like sitting on our bed, like rustling through things, whatever the word is. It just sounds like an angry person is in our room stomping around for the most part. A lot of people are probably going to think this is the sound of somebody in the hallway walking by, right? And I've even heard people tell me that someone came in our room, like an employee came in our room, but it was 11 o'clock p.m. and we had the do not disturb sign on our door. Besides that, let me tell you something about this microphone. This is a very, very good quality microphone. Right now, I have it on similar settings as I did that night staying at the Stanley Hotel. The gain is on like a medium setting, so it's not picking up a whole ton of audio from around the place. Right now, I'm sitting in a loft. This loft is open to my living room down below. My TV is on in the living room to keep my napping baby occupied with some noise going on, so it's not too quiet to wake her up. She does wake up when it's too quiet. So there's a TV playing right in the room next to me. There's an open wall leading my living room. I'm gonna be quiet right now. Tell me if you can hear the TV. Probably not, because this microphone filters out noises that are not kind of directly going into the microphone. So if this was the sounds of people in the hallway, I just don't think it would be, because it probably would have filtered it out, right? But let me know what you think. If you're a skeptic, let me know any other explanations you might have for that. But I'm fully convinced there's no way of explaining that. And I also want to note that the footsteps we got during that portion of the recording you just heard, as well as other footsteps that we got in other parts of the recording, to me these footsteps sound like they are walking on like creaky wooden floors, but the entire hotel is carpeted. The rooms and the hallways at least are carpeted. So would a living person walking on carpeted hotel floors make wooden footstep sounds? Probably not. Now, our next set of recordings were done when me and my family were sitting in the hallway on the 4th floor. And the 4th floor is known to be haunted by kids because back in the early 1900s, the 4th floor was reserved for the employees, and some of the housekeepers who worked there, their children stayed with them. And the 4th floor was reserved for them and their kids. So that's why a lot of people hear kids on the 4th floor. And we were sitting up there. We were kind of doing a little bit of an EVP session. We had our app playing. I don't know if I fully believe in this app, but if you've ever looked up ghost hunting apps, you've probably used this one. It's the most famous one where you kind of ask questions and words will pop up on the screen. We were using that app just kind of for fun while we were asking questions into our microphone. This microphone right here, again, the same one I'm using today. And in between me and my family talking to each other, asking questions, I do recognize my own voice and my family's voices in these recordings, but there are some unfamiliar voices that come up, like this one.
What were their names?
So before I play this recording for you again, what we hear is a woman's voice saying something. Let me know what you think before I tell you what I hear. Then it's my mom saying, what are their names? And then we hear a woman's whisper say a word. Now here it is again.
What were their names?
Now I tried my best to make out what this woman was saying, and to me the only thing I can make out is this woman saying, sounds like playing, Deborah. And then the whisper that happens after, I just hear Taff. Alright, now here's another segment from us sitting in the hall talking, asking questions. So what you're gonna hear for the most part is my mom speaking, kind of from a distance, and then it sounds like a woman comes very close to the microphone and says a word. Here it is.
Anywhere around Veneska.
You want to ask if his name is Charles again?
Anywhere around Veneska.
Now, again, I was having trouble deciphering what this woman was saying, but let me know what you think first before I tell you what I hear. But what I hear is the word Veneska, or the words Veneska. I don't know if it's in a different language or if Veneska is a name. Let me know if that's what you hear and if it means anything to you. And this next one is kind of cool because what I hear here is a song, a snippet of a song playing. And you can hear it sounds like music. But the coolest part to me, something that I didn't even realize until just today, while re-listening to this recording, is during the first part of this song, it just sounds like a music box or something, or a radio playing the song. But then at the very second half of this snippet, it sounds like there's another voice singing along with it. It's very hard to decipher, it's very subtle, but just listen to the song, and then when you listen again, try to hear if you can hear another voice singing along toward the end. Here it is.
Girls coming over here.
And then bonus EVP, this is just some recordings of whispers, just straight up whispers that I got. And me and my family, we were not whispering to each other. It was late, but we were just kind of talking like this, the way I'm talking to you guys right now. This is how we talked to each other. We were not whispering to each other, but they were full-blown whispers, breathing, footsteps, all in this one portion of the EVP that we got again in the hallway. So again, for you skeptics, you're all gonna say that these recordings are just other guests, and well, yes, that's possible, and you know, it could be an explanation for all of this. The thing is we were really the only ones in the hallway. It was not a really busy night. They had open rooms that were not booked. And when we were exploring in the hallways, we didn't really run into anybody. There was two people that we ran into during the day when the upstairs was kind of just like open to the visitors, but at night it really calmed down. There was nobody there. We were the only ones ghost hunting at night that night. And again, the majority of this was happening 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m. I feel like either most guests were either asleep, or if you're not asleep, you would be outside ghost hunting like us, right? Like, that's why most people stay at the Stanley Hotel, to try to get the paranormal experience. So we heard a lot of voices that weren't ours, even though we were alone for the most part. I'm excited to hear what you guys see in my photos, what you guys hear in my EVP. Let me know if you've ever stayed there, if you have experiences. I'm really excited to share all of this and hear your guys' opinions. And with that, thanks for watching, and I hate outros, so okay, bye.